No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of Friday Night Smackdown for March the 17th, 2023. Shout out to the early birds in the chat room, Joey Perez, LaShawn Davis, Don Boeing. David is so beastly. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Michael Wayne, Darren G, Arlene, Matt Helms, Eric, Mohammed. Much appreciation to you all. Now, you know when I'm a minute or two late for the stream, that's usually because there was a significant ending to SmackDown, and indeed there was for this week's show. Let's go ahead and break it down. We kicked off SmackDown in a big way with the number one contender for the WWE Unified Universal Championship, Cody Rhodes. Talked about how he has the utmost respect for Roman Reigns, called Reigns the greatest champion in sports, but he had some business to attend to. He called out Kevin Owens. Owens came down. Owens had a feeling what Cody was up to. Cody said it wasn't a two-person conversation. It was a three-person conversation, and that's when Cody brought out Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes trying to get Zayn and Owens back together. A little reference to the Young Bucks, too. Cody talked about when he left WWE, KO introduced Cody to some friends, and that benefited Cody's life in the long run. Nice little reference there to the Bucks. Crowd was chanting, "Hug it out." Zayn admitted that they have hurt each other over the years. However, they managed to forgive each other. And why is it different this time? He wants Owens to do whatever Owens needs to do. If Owens needs to punch out Zayn to get out the frustration, then so be it. Zayn just wants them to be able to get back together and take care of the Usos. Cody also said he wants to see them back together, saying that they are all in the people-pleasing industry. Everybody wants them on the same page. Zayn said they could be the ones to bring down the ones. And Owens said that why should he fight for someone that does not want to be his friend? He thanked Cody for trying and then took his leave. Crowd was not happy about this, but there is more. We had Sami Zayn approaching Kevin Owens outside of the arena. Zayn said that they actually are friends. They always will be friends, and he still loves Kevin Owens. Owens just got in his car, drove away. Was that the end of KO on this show? Stay tuned. We had our first match of the evening. Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio going up against Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega of Legado del Fantasma. This match, you pretty much knew what was going on here. With Zelina Vega in there, she's clearly the one that's taken the fall in this match. It was a pretty decent match here. Zelina got in some offense. She hit a moonsault off the second rope to the outside. She built up some momentum, and Rhea Ripley broke up a pin attempt from Santos Escobar on Dominic. Rhea ended up picking up Dominic and dropping him onto Escobar. Escobar and Dominic continued. They had a double collision. Then the women tagged in. Dominic broke up a pinfall attempt. Things broke down, and there was a Tower of Doom spot with Rhea Ripley power bombing Santos Escobar as he was superplexing Dominic. Zelina Vega came back in, but Rhea Ripley was able to finish off Zelina with the Riptide, building up some momentum heading into WrestleMania. No surprise here. Match was fine. The big memorable moment was after the match, because we had the latest chapter in this Dominic and Rey Mysterio drama. Dominic got on the mic once again, called Rey Mysterio a deadbeat father. Dominic continued trash talking, and Rey Mysterio was seen walking backstage. We had a commercial break, and after the break, Rey came into the ring and asked Rhea Ripley for a moment with Dominic alone. Dominic said that Rey is selfish, took away his WrestleMania moment, a sad excuse for a father, and just a piece of But before he could finish the sentence, Rey stopped him, and Rey admitted he hasn't been the best father. He did miss some of those key childhood moments. However, he was basically providing for the family. He made sacrifices so they could have the things in life that he dreamed of. And he still loves Dominic. Dominic is his world. And when Dominic got in trouble, the Mysterio name basically bailed him out. And Rey started getting emotional. Rey said he would want nothing more than Dominic to be standing with him for the Hall of Fame ceremony. Maybe it's too late, he said. He said his biggest regret is what Dominic has become. And if some punk-ass kid like Dominic ever called him out for WrestleMania, Rey would beat that person's ass. But unfortunately, Dominic is his son, and fighting Dominic would be the biggest disgrace as a father. And said that he will never fight Rey, and that includes WrestleMania. And once again, he walked off. They're continuing to tease it. I thought this was a great segment. Now, it does feel like they're kind of dragging it out a little bit, but I really did enjoy it. Rey put on a great performance here, and we'll see when they pull the trigger on this. Jose Garza wants to know when's the breaking point. Great question. Do they wait until the last minute, or did they do something next week? We'll see. We had a tag team match. Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan versus Tegan Nox and Emma. Now, they're doing a new match for WrestleMania. They're doing 2 fatal 4-way tag team matches, showcase matches. One is a men's match, one is a women's match. What they should call it is we need to get everybody on the WrestleMania card matches. Like, these matches are totally unnecessary. They're coming in cold. No real reason to do them other than to get the people on the card. Get as much of the roster as possible. And there was a rumor going around that they were not going to do that this year, but plans change, I guess, or maybe there was nothing to that rumor in the first place. So anyways, pretty much basic match here. You just go with who the company's pushing. They're doing nothing with Emma, so you know they ain't winning, Tegan Nox and Emma. And sure enough, they worked over Liv for a while. Raquel got the hot tag, and Raquel hit the choke slam bomb to Emma. Liv tagged in, won with the Oblivion, and they advancing to a showcase match at WrestleMania. Basically advancing to at least we get a match at WrestleMania. We get to be in the bathroom break match, brother. We had Charlotte Flair come into the ring for a promo, and she talked about how this was going to be her 7th WrestleMania, and every time she's been either the challenger or the champion. Regardless, she's always been the star, and Rhea Ripley cannot be the star until she goes through Charlotte. And that's when Rhea Ripley showed up, of course, with Dominic. Typical segment here. Rhea Ripley talked about how she chose Charlotte for a reason. Everybody fears Rhea Ripley except for Charlotte. And that pisses off Rhea Ripley. She needs that title. She needs to be a star. And then Dominic got in Charlotte's face, started trash talking. And that's when Rhea Ripley took a cheap shot, left the ring. Charlotte went after her, and you know what this means. pull apart brawl, because when you don't know what else to do a pull apart brawl, because it always gets the crowd popping and chanting, let them fight. And, the officials pull them apart, and then they always manage to break through, and the security guys get knocked down. One of them got kicked by Charlotte. Like, I know people love these segments, but I've seen them so many times. I still feel like the buildup for this match is kind of weak, and there's talk that it's going to be the main event of night one, which I'm not sure I would go with that call. I know for political reasons it's the right call, I suppose, but you should put the match that has the most heat and what is going to be the best match, which has the best build-up, that should be the main event spot. And it's not this match. More on that later. We had Xavier Woods versus LA Knight. They mentioned Kofi Kingston had successful ankle surgery. He's going to be out for a while. Xavier Woods on his own. And this was a very basic match here. And Xavier Woods won with the backwoods small package roll up. I mean, what's going on here with LA Knight? Like, we thought maybe after a good showing against Cody Rhodes, LA Knight was going to be back on the road to a push, but not yet. Maybe it's the deal where he has to lose a lot and then he'll win Money in the Bank. I don't know, but it's kind of frustrating. LA Knight basically jobbing out here in a quick 3-minute match. And then he was backstage and he got in Rey Mysterio's face. Rey Mysterio smacked him. And that set up a match for next week, which sounds like another L for Rey Mysterio. Or not Rey Mysterio, another L for LA Knight. Unless, of course, Dominic costs Rey the match. And maybe that will finally set Rey off. I guess time will tell on that one. But yeah, I just feel bad for LA Knight. Like, he should be in a much higher position at this point. Then we had our final match of the show before the main event segment. We had Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, Intercontinental Title match. Number one contenders match, I should say, with the winner getting to face Gunther at WrestleMania 39. Both of them pointed at the WrestleMania sign with their trademark weapons. McIntyre with the sword, Sheamus with the shillelagh. Imperium came out there to watch the match. Now, this was a very good match, but it's like so obvious how this is ending. When Imperium comes out there, you're like, okay. For me, I'm just sitting there waiting for the finish because I know they're going to get involved and there's probably going to be the non-finish to set up the triple threat. Like, it's so obvious. I mean, it's the right call to book a triple threat at this point, but I mean, it was so obvious where this was going. It was just hard for me personally to get into the actual match, but it was technically very good. Back and forth action, and McIntyre avoided the bro kick, went for the Claymore, but got hit with Sheamus's knee. And McIntyre kicked out. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." They did the thing where they traded blows. And then they had a double collision. Each one went for their finisher, the Claymore and the bro kick. And they basically kicked each other. And they were on the verge of both being counted out. Gunther did not want this. He wanted one of them to win the match. So he stopped the referee, yelled at them, and then started yelling at Sheamus and McIntyre. And that's when they got up. They were going to attack Gunther. Imperium came in to help out their leader, and that caused the double disqualification, the no contest. And Gunther powerbombed Sheamus onto McIntyre, left the ring, and then Adam Pearce, of course, got on the Titantron and said that Gunther claimed to have wanted a singles match, but his actions showed otherwise, and thus Pearce is making it official. Triple threat match for the IC title at WrestleMania. And as Jerry said, early front runner for match of the year, although I think there's one that could very well top that, maybe two. But yeah, we do have the triple threat. Should be one of the best matches of the year for sure. Really looking forward to that one. And I will give them credit. I like that this was done a little bit different with Gunther coming in and stopping the 10 count, wanting the singles match, but then things snowballed out of control. So that was a different way of setting it up, even if ultimately it was obvious where this was all going. And yes, we finally have an IC title match at WrestleMania. And then we had our final segment of the evening. Sami Zayn coming to the ring to confront Jey Uso. They got right to the point. No long entrances here. Jey basically said he never liked or trusted Sami Zayn since the beginning. But everybody else started to like Sami, and he finally put his guard down. And that's when Sami betrayed him, made him look stupid in front of the entire world. He saw Sami Zayn as a brother, but as it turns out, Sami was just a fake ass oos. And Zayn responded by saying that Jey still has a choice. He has a choice to not take abuse from Roman Reigns. Zayn said that he did love the Bloodline family, but was not going to take the abuse from Roman Reigns like Jey. And said that maybe Jey is mad at himself because Jey never took that chair and hit Roman Reigns with it. This set off Jey. We had the brawl, and then Jimmy came into the ring for the attack. 2-on-1. They threw him into the steel steps, or they hit him with the steel steps, and then Kevin Owens' music hit. He actually did not leave, or he left and came back. Kevin Owens got into the ring, fought off the Usos, stunner to Jimmy, pop-up powerbomb to Jey. Owens was standing there with Sami in the ring. The crowd busted out the hug it out chants once again. KO walked over to Sami Zayn, and we finally got the big reunion, the hug that we were all waiting for. They did not wait until the last minute to do this. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens hug it out, officially reunited. Crowd popped huge for it. Great moment here, as we were all expecting. And then Cody Rhodes was seen in the back smiling, knowing that he finally got KO and Zayn to bury the hatchet. Excellent ending to the show. We do have some super chats here. Walter sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Much appreciated. Says, nice pop for the hug. Would have been 10 times louder in Canada. Like and share this video. Tell a friend. Also get some merch. Hashtag feel merchy. Hashtag stick to my shtick. Maybe so, but I like that they dragged it out a little bit and kept teasing it. The question is, could they have held out even a little bit longer? But it worked out nicely here. The crowd did pop big for it. So they got the reaction that they were hoping to get for this. And we got about 2 weeks now when they can officially announce the match, and do a little bit of final build up for it. So they pulled it off quite nicely, and definitely a front runner for the match of the night, for either night of WrestleMania, along with the Gunther match. And Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, and this goes back to earlier. Says, I feel bad for whoever has to follow the tag match. And that's the thing. It has to be the tag match for the main event. Triple H, if anybody should know better, it's Triple H, because this guy was technically in the main event of WrestleMania on 2 occasions where he really should not have been in the main event, or they should have done a better job building up the match. First occasion was with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 18. Now, Hulk Hogan was there, kind of hard to follow that, and they really didn't do themselves any favors with that whole Lucy the dog storyline. And then 2009, WrestleMania 25, Triple H versus Randy Orton, had to follow Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And maybe people were not expecting that match to be as great as it was, although I had high expectations for it. So this year, you have to know KO and Sami Zayn versus the Usos. Those guys going out there at WrestleMania, they're gonna tear the house down. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, they're gonna have a very good match. I'm confident of that. But they're not going to be able to follow that. No way. And they just don't have the story. Like, yeah, Rhea Ripley is looking for revenge 3 years later after losing in the Performance Center, but it doesn't have that storytelling that the KO and Sami Zayn story has. Like KO and Sami Zayn, the biggest storyline in WWE right now, that should be the main event of night one. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, all it took was an I love you and KO said, let's go. Well, I mean, we had several weeks of where KO was trying to do things on his own, and he heard Sami Zayn out there talking about not wanting to take abuse from Roman Reigns, and he finally decided he had to give it some thought. Like this was probably something he was thinking about for a period of time here, and it wasn't just a spur of the moment decision from him. Hamp Connell sent in 2 $5 super chats. Thank you for that, Hamp. Much appreciated here. His first one says, today in history in 2000, one of the most acclaimed wrestling documentaries, Beyond the Mat, is released in theaters, even though Vince did not want it to. That's a really good documentary. Not as good as Wrestling with Shadows. I still think Wrestling with Shadows is the best wrestling documentary ever made. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But Beyond the Mat is definitely up there as well. And it can get pretty dark. And Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat that said, today in 2002, Triple H, is today the anniversary or is it the 18th? Well, either way, that's kind of funny that I was talking about it and it's the anniversary. Triple H versus Jericho at WrestleMania 18, way overshadowed by one of the greatest matches of all time, The Rock versus Hollywood Hogan. Yeah, and like I said, I think that Triple H and Chris Jericho, the build-up for that, did not do those guys any favors. But even if they had great build-up, it would have been hard to follow Hogan and Rock. And maybe nobody anticipated that Hogan was going to get that kind of reaction in Toronto. I remember back in the day, I felt like he was going to be the babyface because Toronto, nostalgia. And you could tell by Chicago. When Hogan went out there in Chicago and got a good reaction, you know how the Canadian fans are. And if you remember back to WCW, when Hogan went out there in Toronto, he was massively over. Like him and Brett. Brett was, of course, Brett. Like that's not Sky Dome, the Air Canada Center, Scotia Bank Arena, whatever it's called now. I was there in 2019 for SummerSlam. But that arena, when WCW ran there in 99, Bret Hart, obviously major reaction. And Hogan was right up there with Bret Hart at that time. So remembering that, I knew Hogan was going to be big in Toronto based off of the previous WCW Toronto fans reacting to him and how they reacted to him in that Chicago segment with The Rock leading up to WrestleMania 18. And then I think the Raw before Mania, that might have been Detroit, I'm not sure, but the Raw before Mania 18, when Hogan came out there and beat The Rock on the go-home show, like the crowd popped big for it. So you knew going in, Hogan was going to be really over in Toronto. And they still decided to put Triple H. The WWE title has to be on last. And in this case, the women's match has to be on last because it's the right thing. The women should have the equality as the men, you know, all that stuff. But I would say the main event should be the best match with the best storyline, whether it's the men or women. that's what you go with. So anyways, final thoughts on SmackDown. It started off great, ended great. Love the Rey Mysterio and Dominic stuff. So check out the first segment, last segment, and the Rey Mysterio Dominic segment. Everything else was okay. Not great, in my opinion. And Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, it was what it was. Like, the match is going to be awesome. The build-up, kind of predictable. But I'm still going with an A- because of the strength of the main storyline, and also Rey versus Dominic too. But yeah, the ending, great moment leading up to this match at WrestleMania. So because of that, I give it an A-. Not a perfect SmackDown, but that really brought it up and made it a very memorable SmackDown. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Much love and appreciation to all of you. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for this week's NoDQ review. That'll be on Sunday, and I have a little surprise for everybody on Saturday. Something a little bit different for the channel, something you're not used to seeing. A little fun here, a little fun video coming up this Saturday, which some of you might be watching this on Saturday, but check it out this weekend on NoDQ's YouTube channel. And if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. Make sure you subscribe and tell a friend. Spread the word about the channel and the website as we get closer to WrestleMania. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.